Hello, everyone. Today we are going to talk about a horror film called Blood from the Mummy's Tomb from 1971. A lot of interesting things are waiting for you. Once upon a time, Queen Tara was buried alive in an Egyptian tomb. At the end of the funeral, a priest cut off her arm and fed it to hungry dogs, but when the priest left, the arm came back to life and crawled away. A little later, all the priests leave the tomb and a violent sandstorm begins, destroying each of them. In real time, Margaret is plagued by nightmares. Her father Fuchs, a famous archaeologist, enters the room. Corbeck watches their conversation. One day, her father gives her a ring with a large ruby. This ring was on the hand of Queen Tara. Her boyfriend Todd was waiting for her outside. He was surprised to see such a large ring and thought that Fuchs had found it during the excavations. But the strange thing is that he never gave away the things he found, so he wants to visit his old friend and ask him about the ring's origin. And Corbeck comes to Berrigan. He has an ancient relic that he really needs. Seeing a man guarding a closet, Corbeck realizes that the relic is there. A fight breaks out and doctors come running to hear the screams and chase Corbeck away. Todd is visited by Joffrey and his expression changes dramatically when he sees the ring. He asks to see the owner of the ring. Margaret replies that the ring was a gift. Joffrey becomes ill and a constellation appears on the ring, just like the one on Helen's crystal ball. When Joffrey gets better, he opens the closet. There was a box with a jackal skull in it. Suddenly, Corbeck comes in, and Joffrey tells him that he has found the ring, but Corbeck is not confused. He tells him the name of the ring's owner, and in a few hours, it's her birthday. In the middle of the night, Margaret had a dream in which the Queen of Darkness Tara was present, her spirit flying between the stars, waiting for a new shell. She managed to lead people to her tomb, and Fuchs was among them. The professor knows the Egyptian language and learns that the person buried here should not have a name, so that humanity would forget about his existence. There were many things next to the coffin. Archaeologists open the coffin and do not understand why the mummy is so well preserved. Next to the coffin was a hand with a ring. Fuchs reads the symbols on the back of the ring, and that's how they find out Tara's name. Margaret wakes up and begins to feel strange, so she asks to be taken home. Professor Fuchs recreated the tomb right in his basement. He brought the mummy to his home secretly from the other archaeologists. Later, Margaret arrives at the house when Julian suddenly screams. Todd breaks down the door and they go down to the basement. A cut appears on the professor's neck. With the last of his strength, he asks to call Putnam. The man administers first aid and leaves the family. At night, Margaret goes down to the basement. She is surprised that the mummy looks very much like her. Corbeck comes out to her and asks her not to be afraid of him because he is a friend of her father's. Margaret knew him because he was Julian's enemy and therefore he had no place here. But she let him tell her the story of the ring. He says it is a symbol of the rebirth of a god. Queen Tara made his father find it and leave a mark in the history of archaeology. Julian gathered a team and broke into Tara's tomb. It was on this day that Margarita was born, and she became, so to speak, a clone of Tara. Before it's too late, they need to understand how Tara's astral powers work, which is why he asks to assemble a team to break into Tara's tomb. Todd calls Joffrey, but he is not going to help. They have to go to the psychiatric hospital and ask who Berrigan was working for, but the man does not know this information. When they go to his room, Berrigan is very scared. He sees Margaret as the evil Queen Tara. Surprisingly, Margarita decides to play along and orders her servant to give her the snake. The old man swears he doesn't have it. Margaret shows the ring and Berrigan grabs the nightstand. The doctors arrive and ask her to leave the room. Dr. Putnam visits Fuchs. His condition is gradually improving, although his left side is still paralyzed. Todd is sure that Margaret's birth and the discovery of the tomb on the same day cannot be a coincidence. Tara is not dead, but she is not alive either. She is biding her time. At this time, the doctors chained the man to the bed and joked about the stuffed snake. When the doctors leave, the snake evaporates. Berrigan notices a shadow and a strong gust of wind breaks the windows. The man tries to call for help, but no one hears his cries, and he leaves this world. The next day, Fuchs regains consciousness and tells his daughter that he gave her the ring as a talisman. The girl tells him that Berrigan is dead, and the snake has moved to the grave by itself. When he finds out that his daughter has been talking to Corbeck, he asks her not to come near him anymore. But Margaret wants to get answers to all her questions, so she comes to Corbeck's house. There, Margaret calls herself the most important because she was born as the incarnation of Tara. Corbeck agrees to help with Tara's resurrection, but before that, she must get rid of Fuchs. Margaret agrees and leaves. Joffrey also learns of Berrigan's death. He takes out his relic and Margaret enters the room and asks him to give it to her. The man refuses and tries to escape, but accidentally knocks over the casket and jackals begin to howl in the distance. On the way out of the office, Margaret meets Todd, but says nothing and quickly leaves. Todd examines the office and finds Jeffrey's body. Returning to the basement, Margaret notices that a jackal skull has appeared there. Todd interrupts their thoughts and tries to take Margaret away, but she resists. Todd beats the girl and finally shouts that he will call for help. Margaret begins to curse Todd, and in a few minutes, he leaves this world. Fuchs goes down to the basement and finds his daughter lying on the floor. According to Corbeck, Margaret is gone, and very soon her body will be taken over by Tara. For this to happen, Corbeck must bring the last artifact. While he is gone, Fuchs manages to wake Margaret up. She accidentally eliminates the doctor. Margaret is shocked by this and runs away from home. Corbeck and Fuchs get rid of all the evidence, and Margaret comes to Helen's house and asks her to give her the relic of the cat. Helen realizes that the girl can still be saved, which was a big mistake, as Margaret eliminates Helen. The relics are moved to the tomb. Margaret wants to begin the ritual. Corbeck reads the scroll of life, and Margaret's strength slowly fades. She doesn't want to continue the ritual, and to prevent Corbeck from reading the scroll, the duo eliminates a man. Suddenly, Tara wakes up, but Margaret wounds the queen, and the basement collapses. After a couple of days, the girl regains consciousness. She was the only one who managed to survive in the destroyed basement, but who survived remains a mystery. If you have watched the video so far, you should know that I'm happy to have viewers like you. Thank you for watching to the end. Subscribe to the channel and follow the news. OLEJA Recapped was with you. See you soon.